Welcome to the Ultimate Sports Blog Podcast. Today is Thursday, December 20th, 2018. I'm going to try to go pretty quick here. I'm going to go over the bowl game, college basketball, NBA, NHL, do my power rankings for the week for NHL, give out a bowl pick for tonight's bowl game, discuss Manny Machado and his meeting with the Phillies, Cam Newton being out for the year, White Sox make a small move, and Rick Pitino's future, and my best bet. All right, here we go to the college football world we go with bowl games. Ohio shuts out San Diego State. 27-0. Impressive win for the Bobcats of Ohio as they finished their 9-4. San Diego State 7-6. Disappointing for San Diego State. I thought that they'd win this game outright, but that was just a terrible, terrible pick on my part. That was the first incorrect game pick I've had all bowl season. So to make it to the first Wednesday of bowl season undefeated with picks is pretty darn impressive for my sake, because I know every year I get one of those Saturday games wrong, but I happened to be correct on all of them. College hoops. Just going to go through the scores. I'm not going to do records because I'm short on time. Marist defeats New Hampshire 58-49. South Carolina Upstate defeats True MC 85-54. Cal Baptist defeats Southern 79-76. Gardner-Webb defeats Brevard 106-29. FAU defeats Florida College 76-64. Seton Hall defeats Sacred Heart 90-76. St. John's defeats St. Francis Brooklyn 86-52. Number 22 Indiana defeats Central Arkansas 86-53. Penn State defeats Duquesne 73-67. Number 11 Florida State defeats North Florida 95-81. Number 13 Virginia Tech defeats North Carolina A&T 82-60. Number 5 Virginia defeats South Carolina 69-52. North Carolina State upsets number 7 Auburn 78-71. Miami defeats Houston Baptist 80-73. Number 3 Tennessee defeats Stanford 83-70. Hofstra defeats Stony Brook 71-64. Delaware State upsets Delaware 73-71. Georgia State defeats UNC Wilmington 86-71. Dayton defeats Western Michigan 85-72. Old Dominion defeats Richmond 63-54. Fairleigh Dickinson defeats St. Peter's 83-74. Central Michigan defeats UMKC 81-72. Toledo defeats Cornell 86-70. UC Irvine defeats Eastern Michigan 52-48. Grambling defeats Southeast Louisiana 69-68. Lafayette defeats Rosemont 95-54. Cleveland State defeats Niagara 82-60. Belmont defeats Western Kentucky 80-74. Florida Gulf Coast defeats Keizer 87-85. Number 17 Mississippi State defeats Wofford 98-87. Kansas State defeats Southern Miss 55-51. Memphis defeats Little Rock 99-89. Wichita State defeats Oral Roberts 84-63. St. Louis defeats North Carolina Central 74-65. Quinnipiac defeats Bethune-Cookman 87-63. Drake defeats Riders 76-58. Omaha defeats UC Santa Barbara 85-74. South Alabama defeats Alabama A&M 75-67. Lamar defeats Texas Southern 80-72. North Dakota State defeats Northland 90-43. DePaul defeats Incarnate 81-71. Texas A&M defeats Valparaiso 71-49. Grand Canyon defeats Northern Iowa 73-62. Arizona defeats Montana 61-42. Georgia Tech defeats Arkansas 69-65. Cincinnati creams UCLA 93-64. New Mexico State defeats Cal State Northridge 92-57. Utah Valley defeats Idaho State 88-77. St. Mary's defeats Bucknell 85-56. Northern Arizona falls short to San Francisco 76-60. Fresno State defeats Cal 95-73. Loyola Marymount defeats Boise State 70-69. UC Riverside defeats Life Pacific 87-50. And Washington State defeats SIU Edwardsville 89-73. Today's slate, you have one final already. Winthrop defeating Maryland Eastern 88-74. At 2 o'clock, you have Canisius and Holy Cross. 3 o'clock, Chicago State Western Illinois. 4 o'clock, Southeastern University and Kennesaw State. 7 o'clock, Big Ten Network, Ohio and Purdue. Here's a big one. 7 o'clock, ESPN2. Number 12, Texas Tech against number 2, Duke from Madison Square Garden. Duke loves playing at the Garden. Zion Williamson's going to light it up, and he wants to showcase at the world's most famous arena. I expect Knicks GM Steve Mills and Scott Perry, or you should say their president of basketball operations and GM. Perry's their GM and Mills is the president of basketball operations, to be in the house today. Maybe even Knicks head coach David Fizdale to check out Zion Williamson. You know they're clearly gunning for him. And a bunch of other NBA scouts and executives I expect to be there too, and even coaches. ACC Network, you have New Orleans at Pitt and Jacksonville and Notre Dame. James Madison, Fordham, Manhattan, Albany, Yale, Monmouth, Florida Memorial and FIU, Northern Illinois, Northern Kentucky, Milligan, Appalachian State, Siena Heights and Purdue, Fort Wayne, South Carolina State, Miami of Ohio, Savannah State, Texas Tech, Howard, Ball State, Cohen, Creighton at 8 o'clock on Fox Sports 1. Utah State at number 21, Houston. Mobile at South Alabama, Arkansas Pine Bluff at North Texas, UTSA at Texas A&M Corpus Christi at 8:30, 10 o'clock Pepperdine Long Beach State, Prairie View A&M in Seattle, and last but not least, Cal State Bakersfield at Portland State. NBA, same thing, I'm just going to do the scores. The 76ers defeat the Knicks 131-109. The Hornets defeat the Cavaliers 110-99. Spurs defeat the Magic 129-90. Suns defeat the Celtics 111-103. Raptors defeat the Pacers 99-96. The Nets get by the Bulls 96-93. The Rockets defeat the Wizards 136-118. NBA record 26 threes for the Rockets. The Bucks defeat the Pelicans 123-115. The Pistons defeat the Timberwolves 129-123 in overtime. The Jazz defeat the Warriors 108-103. The Blazers defeat the Grizzlies 99-92. And the Thunder defeat the Kings 132-113. Only 2 games tonight on the slate. They're both the TNT games. Rockets at the Heat is the first game, and your second game is the Mavericks at the Clippers. I'm going to make picks for them. I think that the Rockets have a bit of a letdown here on the second of a back-to-back, going from the Central Time Zone to the Eastern Time Zone. I think Miami is due for a signature win against a good team. So give me the Miami Heat at home. But if Houston wins this game, then you know Houston's back to being the Rockets, because they really have shown a lot over these last couple games that they look to be back to the team they were last year, or if not, darn close. And your 10:30 game is the Mavericks at the Clippers. Luka Doncic, what a special player already. That guy's by far the best rookie, although there's some other good rookies too. DeAndre Ayton was excellent the other night against the Knicks. He's been a double-double machine most of the year. Kevin Knox has been improved as a rookie. I talked about that a little bit yesterday. But Doncic is by far the best rookie. He clearly knows what he's doing. And I want to pick the Mavericks for the outright upset. But the Clippers have been a good home team this year. And I think that they get the job done behind a good crowd and some of their guys stepping up to the challenge. And I really don't trust the Mavericks away from home. They lost to the Suns recently in Phoenix. So give me the Clippers here at home. So let's go with the 2 home teams tonight. All right, now we're going to go to NHL. Just going to do the scores and then look ahead to tonight's games and then do the power rankings. Penguins defeat the Capitals 2-1. The Avalanche defeat the Canadiens 2-1. So 2-1 hockey games from last night. Penguins Capitals was on NBCSN. I took the Capitals yesterday on the podcast, but I was wrong. But I think I said I thought it'd be a 1-goal game either way. Tonight's slate at 7 o'clock, you have the Ducks and the Bruins, the Panthers at the Maple Leafs, the Predators at the Flyers, the Wild at the Penguins, the Red Wings at the Hurricanes, the Devils at the Blue Jackets, 8:30, the Blackhawks at the Stars, the Lightning at the Flames, the Canadiens at the Coyotes, 10 o'clock, the Blues at the Canucks, the Islanders at the Golden Knights, and at 10:30, you have the Jets at the Sharks. So, some very good games tonight. Islanders Golden Knights is intriguing. The Knights have seemed to turn things around. Islanders have been overachievers. I think the Lightning can lose tonight against the Calgary team that is starting to get its way a little bit. Wild Penguins is interesting. Wild are a team that's dropped off a little bit, and the Penguins are on the second of a back-to-back. Maybe Minnesota takes advantage of that. And then Predators, Flyers, and Carter Hart's second game. And then the Ducks and the Bruins is a solid game as well. So So the power rankings we go. I go from 31 to 1, as I do each and every time I do this. And the theme I've been doing all week long is the 3-word game. A 3-word phrase describing every team. I'm going to do it with baseball tomorrow. But I don't know if I'll do power rankings or not. Maybe I will because the winter meetings are over and some moves have been made. Number 31 is the Los Angeles Kings. Turn the page. And I mean that because I think it's time to turn the page from those teams that have won the Stanley Cups. You are one of the worst teams in the league. You just see what you can get out there for your best assets, like an Anze Kopitar or even Drew Doughty. I don't know if they'll do it, but I really think that they should consider it. Number 30 is the New Jersey Devils. Who's the answer? And I mean that because Corey Schneider and Keith Kincaid have not played well this year. So the Devils really need to step it up and realize who's the long-term answer and goal for them. Number 29 is the Detroit Red Wings. Have some pieces. Yeah, they're rebuilding, but they have some pieces. Dylan Larkin is a good player, and they have some other good young players, Anthony Mantha among them. I think Jeff Blashill's done a nice job, even though I have a feeling that he's going to lose his job this year. 28th, the Chicago Blackhawks. What a mess. This team was the cream of the crop of the NHL 3 years ago. And they were for a couple years in that run where they won all those Stanley Cups. Those days are over. And like the Kings, they need to seriously consider a rebuild. A team like the Rangers, I think, jumped on the opportunity at the right time, so they deserve credit. Yeah, the Rangers didn't win cups, but Chicago and Los Angeles should have done what the Rangers did, and I keep saying that on the podcast. Number 27 is the Arizona Coyotes. Same old Coyotes. I have not seen much improvement. They've won some games, but then they'd fall back and lose another. Like, they'd come from behind and beat the Rangers one game, and then they lose at home to the Islanders another day. So, same old Coyotes. 26, St. Louis Blues. Who will go? Literally, their whole roster is available for trade. Vladimir Tarasenko is probably the best player available for a trade this year. But who's the team that trades for him? And whoever is trading for him has to give up a lot. Number 25 is the Philadelphia Flyers. Hello, Carter Hart. Carter Hart has been a prized goalie prospect the last few years, and Philadelphia fans saw a glimpse on Tuesday night against the Red Wings, and he starts again against the Nashville Predators, and he played very well. He got the number 1 star of the game. 24 is the Florida Panthers. Big-time underachievers. A lot was expected from this team this year. This was the consensus 4th place team in the Atlantic Division and a consensus pick to make the playoffs, but they've been big-time underachievers this year. 23 is the Ottawa Senators. Duchesne or Stone. And I mean that because which one do they keep long-term and who do they trade, or maybe they trade both. But I see no way they keep both because they're the Senators and they're cheap. 22 is the Carolina Hurricanes. Same old Canes. This is like the Coyotes situation. Like, they would go out there and beat the Predators in one game, and then they lose at home to the Vancouver Canucks another. And speaking of the Canucks, they're number 21. Pettersson for Calder. 20, the New York Rangers. Keep or trade? That's going to be the question for every player on that roster this year, maybe with the exception of Henrik Lundqvist. Number 19 is the New York Islanders. Trotz for Adams. And I mean the Jack Adams by Adams, because it's a 3-word game, so Trotz for Adams is the phrase. 18 is the Minnesota Wild. Little drop off. They got off to a good start, and then they dropped off. 17 is the Dallas Stars. Where's the offense? I feel like this offense is underachieved all year, and whenever I go through my scores, I see the Stars win 3-1, or the Stars fall short 4-2. Like, I don't remember this team scoring more than 3 goals. at all. 16 is Montreal Canadiens. Who are they? And I mean that because is this who they are? Or will they drop off and revert to what we think they are? Number 15 is the Columbus Blue Jackets. Under some pressure. Why are they under some pressure? The Metro Division is wide open. You have teams like the Rangers and the Islanders still hanging around in the mix. You have a team like Philadelphia that called up its prized goalie prospect and is poised to go on a big run. Columbus, to me, has fallen off a little bit, and they're under some pressure to whether trade or keep pending unrestricted free agents Artemi Panarin and Sergei Bobrovsky. 14 is the Edmonton Oilers. Now that's better. They've been playing a lot better under Todd McLellan. 13 is the Boston Bruins. What the heck? This team's been a big underachiever this year. I don't know why. I really can't pinpoint why they're in fourth place. This team should really be in the top three. Well, credit to the Sabres for overachieving. We'll get to them in a minute, but I just can't believe the Bruins really aren't that great. They're poised for a big run. I think Bruce Cassidy has done a great job in his tenure with the Bruins. Yeah, the Tuukka Rask situation doesn't really help. And some other young guys on that team, they're expected to do a lot of underachieved as well. Maybe that has a part to do with it. So is the Pittsburgh Penguins. All is well. This team really has turned it on, and this team's poised to go on a run and maybe take over the Caps for first in that division. And the Caps are 11. Still the champs. They're quietly pulled away from the pack in the Metro Division for now. And they're proving that they are still the champs, and last year wasn't a fluke. 10 is the Vegas Golden Knights. Getting it together. Speaking of people thinking that somebody's a fluke, people thought that Vegas was a fluke last year, about 2 months ago, and they got off to that slow start. And now they're back to being the Vegas Golden Knights that we have grown accustomed to last year, and they are getting it together and have a chance to win the Pacific Division. 9 is the Colorado Avalanche. West sleeping giant. This is a sleeping giant in the Western Conference that I don't think is getting enough attention. They're a dark horse to me to win the Cup. This team is phenomenal. 8 is the Buffalo Sabres. Finally clicking together. This team has been an underachiever for a long time, and the pieces are finally starting to pull into place. The Jeff Skinner trade's worked out nice. Jack Eichel is able to stay healthy. Rasmus Dahlin's made an immediate impact. Their goaltending's been excellent. And obviously, Rasmus Ristolainen's played very well too. Some other key acquisitions have worked out. And their coaching staff, I think, has done a great job this year. And it would be really nice to see this team make the playoffs because I really think that they're going to be a fun watch, especially with a talent like Eichel in the playoffs. 7 is the Anaheim Ducks. What a turnaround. This team was battling for last place earlier in the year, and they've really picked it up of late, winning some key games on the road in the East Coast. Yeah, that was a bad loss to the Rangers the other night, but they were just due for a loss. It happens. They're on the second of a back-to-back. I can't fault them for the Ranger loss. Henrik Lundqvist was great in that game, and if the Rangers win games, it's mostly going to be because of number 30. But the Ducks have really turned it on, and they need to be taken seriously in the Western Conference. 6 is the San Jose Sharks. Karlsson settling in. Erik Karlsson got off to a slow start with the Sharks, and now he's starting to pick it up a little bit and starting to be the player that he was with Ottawa. 5 is the Toronto Maple Leafs. Star power galore. William Nylander's back. They have the two great centermen in John Tavares and Austin Matthews. Mitch Marner's a phenomenal player. Frederick Anderson is emerging as a star goalie. They have a star head coach in Mike Babcock, so this is a star power team. 4 is the Calgary Flames. On the rise. This team was a very big disappointment last year, and now this year they really have taken that next step. A lot of young guys are producing. Their goaltending has been very good. And this team should be able to make the playoffs in what is a weaker Western Conference than it normally is. 3 is the Nashville Predators. The window is closing. Yes, they have a lot of great players on their team, but to me, this has a feel of a team that's window is closing. They've had so many great opportunities. They were in the Cup final a few years ago, and then they lost in 6. But I really think that this team reminds me a lot of the Rangers teams from a few years ago that have won President's trophies and made a final and just couldn't get the job done. This has that kind of feel to it, and it just feels like the window is closing as other teams in the conference are rising, like a Colorado or the number 2 team on this list, which is the Winnipeg Jets. Youth all around. I love the youth on this team. You have Connor Hellebuck in goal. Got off to a slow start this year, but I expect him to turn it around a little bit. I still think he's going to be a very good goalie in this league. You have Patrick Laine, Kyle Connor. Blake Wheeler's a little bit older now, but he's still a very good player. You have Mark Sheffley, who is a very good player. And you have a lot of other players on this roster who are very, very good. And this team is going to be a contender for a long time as long as Hellebuck stays healthy and plays at a high level. Because I think he's the key to their success more so than the success of their forwards. And number 1, no doubt about it, the Tampa Bay Lightning. I don't think this team is going to drop out of the number 1 spot for a while. They're the best in the East and probably the best in the league. And obviously the phrase here is best in East. Tonight we have yet another bowl game at 8 o'clock on ESPN. You have the Grispilla Bowl between Marshall and South Florida, 8 o'clock ESPN. Marshall 8-4, 6-2 in conference play. South Florida 7-5 and 3-5 in conference play. The Thundering Herd are a solid CUSA team, and Doc Holliday has done great as he tends to do all the time. The Bulls are a team that has collapsed by losing their last 5 games. Remember when the Bulls are unbeaten and ranked? That was a distant memory. The Herd win. So give me Marshall. They're laying 2.5, and I am giving the 2.5 like there's no tomorrow. That team is so good, and the Bulls are so bad. Charlie Strong's a good coach, but really, that team is not good, and that program isn't even close to UCF right now. And it's actually up to 3.5, and I gladly would take that too. Manny Machado is visiting with the Philadelphia Phillies today, as yesterday he visited with the Yankees, and then Monday he visited with the White Sox. He's currently meeting with the Phillies, as we know, and a decision should come shortly. A friend of mine told me that he expects this Manny Machado thing to get done before Christmas. I don't know if I agree with him, because sometimes decisions take a while, and you never know if there's a mystery team lurking or whatnot. And I would be somewhat surprised if he signed before Christmas. So, should be interesting. And then meanwhile, with the fit with Philadelphia, he would probably play third base there, as they would try to get rid of the disappointing Maikel Franco. And then they have Machado at third, Gene Segura at shortstop, Cesar Hernandez at second base, and Rhys Hoskins at first base. Or would they put him at shortstop and keep Maikel Franco around at third base, put Gene Segura at second base, use Cesar Hernandez as trade bait, and obviously Rhys Hoskins plays first base. So there is some versatility with Machado, how the Phillies could use him, similar to how the Yankees would, in theory, would use him as well. To me, it comes down to Yankees, Phillies, White Sox, no mystery teams, although I was told that there was some mystery teams talking to his agent and not necessarily meeting with him, though, at the winter meetings. So you never know. I'd be surprised if it's not the Yankees or the Phillies, to be quite honest. The White Sox, I just think that they're desperate for something. And they have Tim Anderson as their shortstop, who had a career year last year. So Machado would play third base there, or say they sign him, convince him to play shortstop, and then they trade away Tim Anderson. But I think the most likely team to sign him is the Yankees. That's been my prediction most of the winter. And then, as a close second, I'd say Philly. And then, a distant third, I'd say the White Sox. Cam Newton will be resting for the rest of the season. He has a shoulder issue. And now that the Panthers are out of it, they're going to rest Newton and try to get a top 10 draft pick. James McCann, speaking of the White Sox, signed him to a one-year deal. James McCann was the catcher for the Tigers the last few years. He didn't pan out to what the Tigers thought he was going to be. They thought he'd be like a Brian McCann who would hit in the home runs in the mid-20s. But he just didn't work out for them. And the White Sox signed James McCann to be their starting catcher. Maybe a change of scenery will help them. Rick Pitino was rumored to be getting a job with the EuroLeague, the Panathinaikos in Greece. Adrian Wojnarowski broke that news, and then meanwhile, John Rothstein tweets out that he did not agree to a deal with the EuroLeague team. So that would have been an interesting story if he did get the job and if Woj was right. So that was a rare case of misreporting by Woj, it seems like. And last but not least, I'm going to do my best bet. I do this each and every podcast usually. I'm going to lay $1 and pick a couple games straight up with no spread. We'll go, obviously, with Marshall on the money line. We'll go with Western Illinois against Chicago State, Ball State against Howard, Notre Dame against Jacksonville, Pitt against New Orleans. I'm going to hold my breath on that one because Pitt has not done me well lately. Purdue against Ohio. Miami of Ohio against South Carolina State. I'm going to hold my breath with this one, too, because I think Texas Tech has a puncher's chance to upset Duke. But I'm going to take the Blue Devils anyway. North Texas against Arkansas Pine Bluff. Seattle against Prairie View A&M. And also, I'm going to go to the National Hockey League and take the Toronto Maple Leafs. Hold my breath with that one because they lost me a few weeks ago. And I don't know if this is a good call or not, but I really like the Vegas Golden Knights tonight at home against the Islanders. The Islanders have been playing good hockey, but I'm going to take a chance with the Golden Knights. It's plus 506 to win $5.06 with a payout of $6.06. And that's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow recapping everything from college bowls and college basketball, NBA, NHL. I'll do my Week 16 picks for the NFL. Going to do picks for bowl games tomorrow as well. And go over anything else that happens in the world of sports. Hope you guys have a great day, everybody.